Readingcomp.org is a reading standardized test practice site that is easy for teachers and fun for students. That's right, we have made reading comprehension fun for students. That's what we do at MrNussbaum.com. We take subjects and topics that kids typically dislike and make them love it. So, as I said, this site is designed by the creators of MrNussbaum.com. It features more than 400 different reading passages and question sets integrated with science and social studies topics for kids in grades 2 through 8. It allows teachers to customize passages, deploy them to students, and analyze data. In using the sites, students will become better readers and become accustomed to taking such tests online. They'll also earn rewards for their achievement, and therein lies the fun. These rewards can also be traded with their classmates online. Right now, a perpetual subscription is just $49. That is a one-time, non-recurring fee. You have up to 6 classes and up to 120 students. The purpose of this video is to show you how to start. When you go through it once, it will be easy. And first I'll show you how it works for teachers, and then I'll show you how it works for students. The first step is to log in. So I'm going to click this orange login button, and then I'm going to hit teacher login, and then log in. Next thing you do is set up your classes and students, and this is really easy. You're going to go to this button that says Add, Delete, and Edit Students. Click there, and I can have up to 6 classes, as you see here, and it's simply you just click. Let's say I want to type in a last name. It's as simple as that. So this is the Jones class. To add a student, I simply type in first and last name or whatever terms that you use to identify students. You can also copy and paste a big list of students. And if you wanted to register 20 students at a time, it would be as simple as pasting that list and then click Add. So student usernames are their first and last names combined with no spaces, and passwords are five characters combined with an image, as you see right here. So it's a good idea to print these also and just distribute them to students. Make sure you click Save, because if you don't click Save, this will be a waste of time. I'm clicking Save, and now Jimmy Jones is one of my students. We will get back to students later. Let's begin working with the reading exercises themselves. So click the back button. On the left, you will see a vast list of subjects with their approximate grade level appropriateness. These are the reading exercises. You can preview them by clicking on them. So for example, let's say, I don't know, maybe I'm doing social studies unit on the American Revolution. I'm interested in Alexander Hamilton. So I just click, and I can see exactly what my students will get. You see, scroll down, a reading passage, and this one has 7 multiple choice questions. I'll talk a little bit about this listen button in a minute. So, and I click OK when I'm done. There are over 400 of these, and we are adding to the options daily. As you see, lots of interesting subjects, and mostly science and social studies. But we're working on adding fiction as well, as most of these are just informational text. But they're interesting, and kids actually like reading them. When you find some that seem like good fits for your student or students, drag them to the to be deployed section. So for example, let's say I really like that Alexander Hamilton. I'm just going to drag it here. Maybe in addition, I like Baron von Steuben, and I'm going to drag. You can drag as many of these as you want. If you drag one over by mistake, just drag it back. Okay, so now I want my students to be able to practice their reading comprehension on these two subjects. So I have this is my class. You see, I never named all of these other classes, so they have generic names, but this is the one class I named. And if I want my entire class to be able to practice with these two, then I just click Jones All Students. But in some cases, maybe I just want individual students from the class. In this case, I click Jones Individual Students, and then I'd be able to check the actual students from the class that I wanted to be able to practice here. It doesn't matter because I only have one student, so I'm just going to hit Jones All Students. And next is really important. So I'm going to click next, and then there's going to be an interview. And in this interview, you're going to be able to customize. It's going to be exactly how you want it to be. So I click next. Do you want these to be used as practice or assessment? So simple. If you want it to just be practice, it's very informal. No scores are recorded and students can just practice it. If you want it to be an assessment, then the actual score will be recorded. It'll be in your grade book and you'll be able to look at all the statistics. But if you just put it as practice, you won't be able to. Okay, so I'm going to make this an assessment, and that way I'll be able to see all the scores and analyze the data. So I click next. Do you want students to be able to use text narration with highlighting? You can add this to any reading comprehension passage on here. I think it's a neat feature. So I'm going to click yes. And if it includes this button, it doesn't mean that students still have to activate it by clicking that listen button. Do I want students to be able to see their scores and test score details? So yes, I do in this case, but sometimes teachers want to get those scores and they don't want students to be able to see all the different statistics. Do I want it to be timed? I'm going to leave the timer out, but if I did want it to be timed, then I could write how many minutes do I want the timer to be here. Do I want students to be allowed to take each test only once? Yes, because that'll skew my grade book if I get them, if they can take it as many times as they want. Do I want students to be able to earn rewards? So we have a pet shop that students can buy from, which is really interesting. I do want them to be able to earn rewards. This is the top motivator. So kids will work hard to be able to earn the site currency, which is called neurons. And with those neurons, they'll be able to visit the pet store and buy pets that they can invoke during the reading passages themselves. So I am going to click this. And that leads to more questions. What percentage score will allow students to earn rewards? I'm going to keep it positive. So for my student, anything above 70% will earn an award. If student attains award, how many neurons should they earn, which can be used at the pet store? So I want them to be able to have to work for their pets. I know that the cheapest pet is 10 neurons, but the most expensive pets can go up to 250. So I'm going to say 10. Then I'm going to click next. Do I want to save these settings? So that means I don't have to do the interview again. If I click yes, I won't have the interview again. And every time I do this, the system will assume that the interview questions I just answered will remain the same for future deployments. So if you don't click this, you have to do the interview again. I'm going to click it. Sounds like a good plan to me. And then I'm going to click deploy. The activity or activities selected are now available to students. Scores and test details will appear in your gradebook. Great. So now my students are ready. The actual reading comprehension activities have been deployed as assessments. I click OK. And we're going to go to a couple more things in just a second. Other things to note on this page is the gradebook, which contains student scores. So if I click on gradebook, Now, you can see I can sort this by activity or by student, and my student hasn't taken any of these yet, so perhaps we'll come back to this. I can click this button to reset the gradebook also. Go back. Printable exercises are PDF versions of the exercises that you can print or deploy to students. So maybe like one day you want the students to be able to have a paper copy of the test. Well, this is where you go to the printable exercise, where you can print them out, or just like the online versions, you can deploy them to students, and students can print them out at home or wherever. And here's the settings. Here you can change the answers to your interview questions. Okay, so I think that is it right now for the teacher version. Now I'm going to show you how students actually do this. So now that you've deployed an exercise or exercises, it's time to have students take their tests. I'm going to demonstrate by logging in as the student I created. And this might take some getting used to for students because the password is screen, click, or tap only. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to log in, student login. I'm going to put my username, which is actually below the password field. I'm going to put my username in first. And this is going to be first and last name combined. Then I'm going to do my password. Now, to put in my password, I have to click on the screen. So my password was 7Z8E, and along with that was this cow here. So every student has an animal also. This is for security. And here are so this is the student view. So here are my exercises. So this is what a student sees. And let's say you've assigned the student to click on Baron von Steuben. This is the assignment to do the Baron von Steuben reading exercise. So I'm going to click on it. And here's what I see. Now I did enable the narration. So watch what happens if a student clicks listen.
Baron von Steuben was born on November 15th, 1730, in Germany.
So that's helpful for students who could benefit from or need narration. All right, so for right now, you see it not only does it narrate, but it also highlights. And this is also very customizable. You can change colors, you can change the voice, or all sorts of things. But I'm going to exit out. Now I'm going to take the test. I'll do it quickly to do my best to get 70% so that you can see what happens if a student earns rewards. Let's see. Okay, so I have 7 questions here. Let's do my best here. So number 1, B. And automatically goes to the next question. Okay. I don't know. How did Baron von Steuben prove valuable to the Patriot cause? I think he did military tactics. What does endear mean? Which of the following sentences in the passage reflects the fact that von Steuben endeared himself to students? Or not to students, to soldiers. So D. Let's do that one. Which of the following best describes Baron von Steuben? We got that one. What is another way to write the following sentence without losing its meaning? It's instrumental in reading. I think this is your best answer. So as soon as I answer this, watch what happens to the leaderboard. The leaderboard, I mean right here. So I've earned 10 neurons. That's good news. What did I get here? I actually got 100% on that. And you see, I can enable or disable this leaderboard for students. It says I played it 1 time. spent 2 minutes and 4 seconds on it. My high score is 100. My average score is 100. Last score was 100. And this one, because it's a new site, no one's taken this yet. So the high score for all users is 100. Average score for all users is 100. I can actually, if I was allowed to do this more than once, I could graph my progress to see how I do on this over time. Which did I get correct and incorrect? I can click on this and it shows me, what questions I got right and which ones I did not get right. Click OK. Awesome. So then I go back and I've earned 10 neurons, so I can go to the pet store, click the pet store, and this is the pet store. Now I have 10 neurons. Now I can't buy many of these pets for 10 neurons, but there's at least one I can buy. As you see all the different pets in the pet store. I can trade these also with anyone else who's registered to the same teacher. So let's go. The only one I seem to be able to buy is a beta fish. And true, these are just images, but they're pretty detailed images, and students will love earning the more in-demand pets, which are the ones that are more expensive. So I'm going to buy my beta fish, and it says purchase successful. So I click OK. Now, when I'm taking these reading comprehension tests, I can bring my pet with me. Let me show you what I mean. So sometimes students will log in and they'll first go to the pet store and they can have as many pets as they can earn, and then they can choose one to display on the exercise. And sometimes this is like a comforting factor for kids if they're taking these tests as assessments. They're sort of like supporters for them. So I'm going to click display on exercises. Okay, now I'm going to go back. And so watch, I'm not going to do the whole passage, but if I was doing the Alexander Hamilton one, I'd click on it, and I have this beta fish now, and I can move him wherever I want. And he's just there for, positive vibes, for support. Anyhow, so that concludes, the student view. You can deploy as many of these tests as you want to your whole class or to individual students. And it's great practice for standardized tests, for reading comprehension standardized tests, and it's great for making them fun, putting a little twist in them, interesting topics, rewards, being able to trade. It'll make this much less painful. I have one more thing to show you, and we'll do that in 1 second. The last thing I want to show you is the teacher gradebook. It's simple and easy to use. So I log back in as a teacher, and I simply click Gradebook. And so it says records by activity or by student. So I have one student who's taken one exercise. So let's just see if I want to see how all of my students did on the Baron von Steuben activity. I click on Baron von Steuben. Here he is, Jimmy Jones. Here are all of the pertinent details. I can click on details. Just as he could see which ones he got correct and which ones he got incorrect. A handy little class rank. This is just for your information. It gives you a class rank, how Jimmy Jones did compared to the rest of the class, and you can print this out also. So I hope this makes it easy for you to use the site. Remember, the $49 payment is a one-time fee. You'll be able to use the site as long as it remains online with no additional payments. And every year, you can exchange students. You can delete your old students and add your current students. Plus, we'll be adding much more, including the functionality for you to make your own exercises, and we're adding a closed reading option. Please, as always, contact me using the contact information on mrnussbaum.com if you have any questions. So hopefully you'll get to use this very soon. That's it.